Welcome, friends, and thank you for joining us on Ordinary People with Hannah and Nayeli. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Nayeli.
Welcome back, Nayeli. I haven't seen you in person since before winter break, so it's been like a month and a half.
I know, it's been a long time. But be sure that we have been working on bringing new and exciting subjects for our community here at Ordinary People.
Yep. So we're going to start our first episode of the year talking about setting some meaningful goals for 2025 with a focus on making space for giving back, making a difference, and contributing to something bigger than ourselves.
I feel like many times when we are doing our resolutions, like they used to be called, now that word is not so cool. So now we call it goals of the year. Most of the time we are focusing on ourselves. We set our personal goals around it, like, okay, I'm going to exercise more, I'm going to improve my eating habits, or I'm going to start saving some money. But when we're thinking about all these, it's not always in our scope to how these goals are going to impact our community. Thinking of this bring me to my first reflection. I have a very good friend. Her name is Yolanda Gray. She's a life coach and a mentor. And she holds workshops and retreats. And she always talks about something that is the core values. That concept always resonates with me because for those who are not familiar, a core value is something that deeply matters to you. Can be family, charity, financial stability, safety, happiness, health, creativity. And it's so much easier to achieve goals when they are in alignment with your core values. We can use this concept to set our personal goals, but also we can use it to set goals that improve our community. For example, I care about many social subjects, sometimes too many, but financial stability is something very important to me. So I'm very empathic when someone goes through hardship in that subject. I can use that to set my charity or volunteer goals in organizations that work with low-income families or small businesses that are struggling.
So I wanted to ask, do you personally make goals or resolutions? If so, how serious are you about them? Do you just kind of think of something and then try to do it? Do you write it down? Do you make a plan? Like, what's your style when it comes to goals or resolutions?
Well, I used to be very specific. I will put all the numbers in there. You will see that and it will look like a financial statement more than a personal goal. But I have been shift that, and lately I'm more in the broad spectrums of the goals. I'm thinking more medium term, long term, because before, when I was so strict about the numbers that I wanted to achieve in any part of my life, I will usually come to frustration, and that will make me drop those goals mid-year. It's May, and I will be already dropping every goal because I'm like, there's no way I will make the number I was expecting.
Yeah.
So I started shifting, and now I focus more on improvement. I'm getting close. Maybe not at the rate that I was expecting, but if I'm getting closer to my goals, then I feel kind of accomplished. So I have shifted that in my life. But what I'm very specific on is the actions. So I do a list of actions that I want to do that are in alignment with my goals, and those are I'm trying to work on it. Another concept that also was introduced to me by Yolanda was the vision journals. I know it's a very common concept and many people do vision board, but the vision journal is something you carry with you as a reminder of your intentions. You can also write down on there ideas, thoughts, things that you read, things that might help you accomplish your goals. And it's just that. It's just a constant reminder of where is your heart on, where is your intentions, and what do you want to do. How about your goals? How do you do it?
Yeah, so a long time ago, I used to have more broad goals in terms of health and education related things on my vision board. I mean, the way vision boards work, you're just kind of cutting out pictures of what you want to achieve. So they might be pictures of me going to the gym or, me getting my degree and walking across the stage or something like that. Then after I had kids, I really started getting more specific about my goals list, and I started putting a lot more parenting and relationship and mental health goals on my list. I realized that while I've always had financial goals, but I felt like writing down those social and emotional goals and getting to see the progress that I made each year really made me happier over time than some of the financial goals that I would achieve. So over time, I would get more specific about my goals and write them down in like actionable steps, kind of like you mentioned. So I might take a goal and break it down. Well, in order to achieve the goal of maybe reducing anxiety, what am I going to do in that process? Maybe I'll go make an appointment to see a therapist, or maybe I'll, try meditation, or it's just breaking down that overall goal into more actionable steps, like you mentioned. So there's been an evolution in how I approach my goals, but I'm definitely a goal-oriented person. So it really helps me to take this time at the beginning of the year and really put a lot of thought into what I want my goals to be. What do I want my year to look like at the end of the year? What do I want to look back and be proud of? And then I check those often throughout the year. So that's kind of how I've been handling my goals each year, but I've never written down anything other than very general statements of finding a new volunteer opportunity if I know that one is wrapping up. I've never written any more than that. So I'm really excited about this episode to get me thinking about what do I want my impact on the world to be, and how can I incorporate that in my goals list for the year.
Yes, because often what happens is we can be very specific and intentional with our personal goals because we have more control about the steps that we have to take to do it. What I find sometimes is when we're thinking about social goals or social issues, it's hard to see the impact of our actions. I think both of us were very impacted by the peace building episode. And when we are thinking about that, it sounds like something like we usually hear, like, oh yes, I want to achieve world peace. But then the second thought immediately after is, well, how can I accomplish something like that? How can I do something that looks so far to conquer? So especially the social impact goals might feel unachievable. And even when we volunteer or donate our money, it's hard to measure how the impact of our actions is really getting us closer to that goal.
Yeah, as much as I love to volunteer, I've never planned it out. I've never measured what I've done or what I want to do. So I feel like planning it and measuring it will help me grow from one year to the next.
Definitely. I think that's very important. Another factor that is very important is being intentional. Because as you mentioned, sometimes we get busy, we volunteer, and volunteering become a task on itself, We want to hit a goal, let's say 200 hours a year. This year, I'm going to increase my volunteering. But maybe not even half of the time is meaningful or is in alignment with our core values. And that makes it harder, It might be time to reconsider and choose intentionally. Where are we donating our money? Where are we volunteering our time? We need to check our agenda and see if it's full of random commitments, because most likely if that's happening, we feel like we're giving, but we don't feel that fulfillment or sense of accomplishment. And something meaningful can mean different for person to person. It's not that everybody's going to be going to the same cause. Not everybody's going to feel the same about the same cause. What is important is you find that it's a passion for you. It's something that it's in alignment with your core values, and you put most of your volunteer time and most of your donation on that.
So I recently watched a masterclass that I think is so relevant to what we're talking about. It was taught by a gentleman named James Clear, and his masterclass was all about creating systems and daily habits that help you reach your goals. A lot of the concepts that he talked about, I've heard before, or I've seen, on TikTok, or some of them I do practice. but there were some new things sprinkled in, and it's always good to be reminded, right? I just loved the focus he had on daily habits and building systems into your life that help make those goals happen. So I'm going to run through a couple of the tips that I got from him and just break it down.
That's great. Yes.
So one tip was breaking down what you want to achieve into something smaller and more easily achievable. So like you were saying, Nayeli, I want to help promote world peace, which is way too broad and overwhelming, right? So instead of saying, I want to help promote world peace, let's break that down into something much smaller, like I'm going to volunteer 5 hours a month for a local peace building organization, or I'm going to lend them my specific talent. So that's one thing, is whatever it is for you, take that big, broad thing that you want to help with and try to find a way to break it down into something much smaller and more achievable. The next thing he talked about is focusing on just getting 1% better at the thing you want to achieve. So that could look like if you're not volunteering at all in that thing you're really passionate about or that aligns with your core values, maybe you're doing lots of other volunteering. Instead of feeling like you're going to change the world this year, focus on just getting 1% better at the thing that you want to do, which I've heard other people mention this before a lot in fitness world is, hey, just focus on getting 1% better today than you were yesterday. But this can also apply to the impact that we want to make in the community. So let's say that you've told yourself you're going to volunteer 10 hours a month, but you never seem to get around to doing it. And when it actually comes time to volunteer, you don't feel like it. It's too overwhelming. You've made an unrealistic goal that you can't meet. Instead of doing that, just try to do 1% better than you are today. Maybe start with 1 hour a month. And don't feel bad about telling an organization, I'm only going to give you 1 hour a month. That way you create a habit of showing up. If that's all you can do, that is a great start, and it is 1% better than what you're doing today. Another tip he had was never miss more than once. So let's say you really don't feel like meeting that volunteer commitment, and so you call in sick. Just don't let that become the end of your volunteer commitment entirely. Maybe they were expecting you to show up and pack meals and you didn't do it and you felt bad, and so you don't want to show up anymore. But get rid of that train of thought and just give yourself a break and say, hey, I missed once, but I'll be back next month. Another tip he had was creating visual cues for your progress. And it could be just as simple as like color coding your volunteer time on your calendar. So when you scroll back through the year, you have a visual cue of all the times that you volunteered. And for you, Nayeli, that visual cue could be writing in your vision journal, like what you did and how it made you feel, so that you can look back and be reminded of how good it felt when you volunteered. I think the most impactful thing that he talked about was if you've built these habits and systems around your goal, when you don't feel like showing up, those habits and systems will kick in, and it will be more likely that you show up even when you don't feel like it. So a couple of examples are, let's say you joined a volunteer group, make it a family date night, go with friends, build a community that are counting on you. So when you don't feel like going, someone in your group is going to hold you accountable to showing up, and that will help you continue on even when you don't feel like going. So making a commitment on your calendar and building habits around that will make it much easier for you to succeed.
And we can also apply it to donations. Like if you have a donation goal already set the autopay. I don't know you, but life gets busy and I forget to pay. So when it's already included in your budget, then set the autopay. So that way we won't forget. The money is going to go where the causes that you really care about it. And they will be counting on this money too, also for their budgets and everything. There is other area that this works very well is like, for example, if you want to support small or local businesses, you can set a day a week or a day a month where, like, let's say every Saturday we are just going to go to eat to local restaurants. We're just going to eat to buy our Saturday treat, our ice cream or coffee or our cookies. We're going to get it from a small business. That way, if you do it every Saturday or the first Saturday of the month, whatever your budget allows you to do it, it's going to be built into your routine. It's going to be part of your family planning. Everybody will know that that's what happened the first Saturday of the month. So it's a way to start creating these good habits.
That's a really cool idea. It's like Small Business Saturday every Saturday.
Exactly, because once a year is not enough.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, what it's important is we have to make a routine. We have to build a routine. They say that you have to do something 21 times before it becomes a habit. So the first times you might have to schedule it. You might have to sometimes push yourself a little bit to do it. But after that, it's going to become part of your daily routine. It's going to become part of your week routine. And it's going to be integrated. So you won't feel like something strange.
Yeah, and a lot of those tips that James Clear was talking about really boil down to smaller habits that we can form to achieve a realistic goal. The goal that you're making is not realistic. You're going to feel like giving up. So it's really important that we try to make realistic goals for ourselves to make sure that it's more likely to happen. And then if it matches our core values, it's going to be more rewarding. And then if we've built these systems around it, like scheduling it and going with friends, then if we have a day where we don't feel like going, we're more likely to go anyway because we don't want to miss it. So there's a lot of ways that we can put these systems in place to make it easier for us to achieve our goals.
Definitely. We all need to be taking these points in account because that's the way we are going to keep showing, we're going to keep volunteering, we're going to keep donating, and we're going to improve, as you say, just 1% at a time, and we're going to be better than the last day. And I just want to come back to a very important thing, and that's community. Exercise with someone that keeps you on track of your goals. Like they call it accountability partners. In these social matters, it's also very important to have accountability partners. It's build a community around you that will keep you into your goals. Like, for example, if you volunteer regularly, let's say at a homeless shelter, the staff will keep you on the loop of when they need you, what they need of you. They might even contact you if they need an extra hand in a day that you might have no thought of showing up. So if you find a cause that is close to your heart, that is something that you feel passionate about, go reach that community, because that community will keep you informed. They will keep you in the loop of what is happening, and you will feel needed. That's very important. And as they know they can count on you, you will start feeling part of that community too. It will keep your interest up.
Yeah, when we are volunteering for things that are related to our kids, you are automatically in this network of other parents. And it's very easy to make those connections, I feel like, when you all have the same shared goals for your children, whether that be sports or clubs. And it's very easy to build that community, I feel like, personally. But when we're talking about things like inserting ourselves in something new, like we talked about, we're very interested in peace building now. It's not something you or I have experience with. It can be a little bit scary for me. I can just speak for myself, is because I'm going to have to meet new people and make new connections, and the whole experience will be new to me. That still makes me very nervous today. I would push through it, but I'm sure a lot of people can identify with that feeling of wanting to branch out and volunteer for this thing they're really passionate about, but feeling nervous and overwhelmed to actually take that step to do it. I remember the first time I volunteered for Big Brothers Big Sisters and Meals on Wheels and tutoring ESL students. Those were all really short stints of volunteering for me, but I remember feeling very nervous about going through that process of being a new volunteer with no training, all by myself, and just kind of showing up, being this new person and saying, where do I go? What do I do? Am I going to be good with these people? Am I going to be good at volunteering for this specific thing? Am I going to be a good big sister to a kid I've never met before? Like, how am I going to handle these interactions with these people in their golden years when I drop off their food? So I've always had these feelings of nervousness doing something new, but I will say that each time I've pushed through that nervousness, like you mentioned, Nayeli, the volunteers who are there do such a great job of making you feel welcome, making you feel like you are needed, and they want you to come back. And they understand you've never done this before and you need instructions and you need advice. So if you're like me and you want to get out there and you want to put something on your goals list, but it's hard to just get started because maybe you have those nervous feelings about taking on something new, keep that in mind. And also you can grab a friend or a family member and say, hey, just come with me to this very first meeting. And let's make sure it's legitimate and it's not like a sketchy volunteer opportunity. We want you all to be safe. But then after that, you don't have to volunteer with me if you don't want to. But if you do, great, we can do it together. But there are ways to get past that initial nervousness of diving into something new.
And also, it's very important that we know our talents. And maybe there are people that they don't enjoy being around other people or interact with others. That doesn't mean you cannot do something. There are like a few years ago, we volunteered to do what they call care packages, and they do for the homeless community. And you assemble these hygiene kits where you put together like in a Ziploc bag, a shampoo, a soap bar, different stuff that they might need on their daily necessities. And you just assemble it at home and you drop them at a collection center. We did that during the pandemic, that it was hard to get into in-person volunteer opportunities. So if you have that social anxiety, you don't want to be around anyone, you don't have to do it. There is a way that you can use your talents in the good. You just have to find it. There are many, now, fortunately, there are many places where we can search for these volunteer opportunities. Some are online, some are in person, some are just required to you to do a task that you don't have to do there. You can do it in your home. There are many ways that you can participate. That doesn't have to hold you from being an humanist. As you mentioned, Hannah, sometimes we are very nervous about when we are passionate about a cause and we got into this conference or we're trying to get into this world. We sometimes see these people that has been in the field for years. Mm-hmm. So they speak a certain terminology. They use certain words. They know about the programs, how they work, the financial of the programs. And sometimes we feel overwhelmed because we are new in the field. We don't know, but we have the will. We feel that is something we are passionate about. So maybe the first step is to educate ourselves. And there are many tools we can use. I mean, we can use the old-fashioned Google because now AI has taken over, so Google feels like so old school. But also we can join maybe a Facebook group that they are working on the subject. We can read books. We can listen to podcasts. We can watch YouTube videos. All this to start educating ourselves and getting more comfortable with the terminology, learning more about the words that are useful in that field. And that will make you feel so much comfortable to approach an organization or approach a local charity when you know more about the subject. And also it's very important that when we do that, we don't feel like, let's say, we have to reach to United Nations right away. We can start reaching out to a local organization, a small one, and start getting involved in that field. And we will grow in it. It's not like we just start passionate about something and immediately gonna be talking, making a conference in the United Nations. It's not like that. It's little by little. It's a step by step.
Yeah, and one thing that's come up in our research often is that change happens locally, right?
Yes.
So like you mentioned, starting small is actually not a bad thing. And I think before we started this journey, I think I felt a lot like the impact that I was making wasn't big enough, but that's a recurring theme, is that change has to happen at the local level. And so if that's all you can do is at the local level, you should not feel like that's not enough. That's exactly where you need to be, and it is enough.
Exactly. And it also applied to our donations. Remember when we were talking last episode about donating, there is this way that you can donate the cents when you pay something. And
round up.
Round up. Yeah, that's the name, round up. And you might donate 30 cents each time. Well, by the end of the year, you might have donated $200 and you didn't notice. It was just that little bits that adds up, and I think that's the mentality we have to get into these goals, into these social goals. Tiny bit helps a lot.
So I've been thinking a lot lately about the number of hours that I have in a week. I asked ChatGPT to give me a breakdown of what a typical full-time working mom does with her hours in a week. And ChatGPT said there are 168 hours in a week. And I'm paraphrasing here. After you take out sleep, work, eating, meal prep, chores, getting ready, errands, and administrative tasks like paying bills and making appointments, most people have somewhere between 26 and 51 hours of time left in the week, and we get to decide how we want to spend that time. So I really have been thinking a lot about that. And I think you mentioned earlier, Nayeli, that we may be spending a lot of time on things that don't align with our core values, or maybe we're spending all of our time, on family things, and that is our core value. But I think it's a great place to start and say, okay, this is roughly the number of free time that I have in a week. These are my core values and what I really want to do with that time. I'm really excited to take all these things that we've learned today and start to journal them and check back in next year and see what we've did and what we learned. So I'm really excited about that.
And we also have to remember that it always feels better giving than receiving, but especially when it's in alignment with our goals and with what we want to reach, where we want to build, what the future are we setting for ourselves and for the world and for our families and for our communities. And, we also have to take care of ourselves, because the better we are, the better we can give, the better we can be for our communities, for our families, and that is very important. So we have to make a commitment, but always realistic, not unachievable goals that will just give us anxiety and will just give us like extra pressure. Just let's set out goals that are achievable, that are in alignment, as you said, and we have to make a commitment to work on it. Sometimes discipline will take us longer than just the will to do things. So that's something we have to incorporate. And I'm taking this note to myself that it's something we build daily.
Yeah. The world always needs more humanists. And it doesn't have to be some, billionaire philanthropist, that there's a lot that we can do. And I'm really excited to see what we'll be able to accomplish this year.
Yes, we hope this episode helps you to set up your goals, to incorporate humanitarian work. But remember, nothing is too small. Every contribution counts. But what is coming on for us in 2025? I mean, at least in the podcast, we have set some goals for that, for sure.
Yeah, we have some exciting things coming up for the rest of our season in 2025. We do have some difficult topics to discuss as well, but we try to kind of break that up with some lighter episodes because, like Nayeli mentioned, we still have to worry about our mental health. But we're going to talk about human trafficking. We're going to talk about the importance of youth programs and how they impact so many different aspects of our society. And we'll have a few more episodes planned, and we're really excited to wrap up the year with a fun trip to New Orleans, where Nayeli and I are going to attend the Points of Light conference. And we're going to mingle with a lot of amazing nonprofits and some people out there doing some exciting things. And we hope to get that on video for you all. So we're really excited about 2025, and we appreciate you all hanging in there with us and listening and giving us your time.
Yes, welcome to 2025. Welcome to our village. We are happy that you're here with us. Please share with us your goals. If we can be in any help or we can guide you in any way, we are here to grow together, and hopefully we find your comments here. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcasting app so you are notified when new episodes drop.
You can also find us on Instagram at Be The Change Hub and follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn. All the links to our socials will be in the show notes.
Thank you for listening today and being part of this community of change makers.